again, nobody's ever come out and said, nobody from the cartel has said, hey, we're not going to mess with you guys.
Yeah, we're going to leave you guys alone.
But
that's great.
Proof has been that they really haven't.
Joining us today at the table is Brad Zara, former owner of Zara's Collision Center, and we sure appreciate the fact you take some time to join us.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I kind of fell off the radar, so I wasn't sure if anybody remembered who I was.
No, we remember.
Well, I thought you might have a better tan, being down to Marco.
No, you're right. This last couple months have been pretty consumed with inside stuff. We just did a full renovation of our condo, and so not been much beach time here lately.
Okay. I like it.
So you sold the business in 21?
21, August of 21.
After owning it for how many years?
Almost 34.
Yeah, you started the business, correct?
Yes, in 1987.
Yep.
I love it.
And provided a lot of great service to Peerless and our vehicles. I'll tell you what, you guys always did a great job when we had some fender benders, and I know I had a big one with my GTO and my Sequoia. Remember that one?
Oh, I do remember that.
Big one, yeah. But
and we appreciate that. Thank you.
But I've always admired you and how you ran your business, and with your core values and the service and everything, just phenomenal.
Well, thank you, and likewise. And it's fun to see and have experienced the same from your company.
Yeah, thank you.
Birds of a feather flock together,
that's
they say, right?
Yes. Yep.
We thought it would be fun to have you on just because all those years of leading a business in the community that was so highly respected, and then, as you said, kind of off the radar for a little while with selling the business and retirement. And we just thought it would be great to have you back on and hear about what you're doing these days, as well as how the business is doing. Because we understand the transition to the new ownership has gone well, and a lot of your folks are still a part of the team there.
Yes, they are. And happy to report it's been living happily ever after, I think, for all of us.
Sure.
And that certainly was the goal. And you can't assure that's going to happen, but tried to do as much due diligence to make sure that we were finding, and we weren't even finding that the proper buyer found us.
Right.
Because definitely wasn't seeking that.
Yeah. When you said there's new opportunities, too, for your folks that stayed on board, obviously being bought out by a large organization, multiple locations throughout the country.
Yeah, they've got over 1,500 locations.
Wow.
Right.
I saw them when we were out in San Diego.
Yeah.
There was one
I remember, right off the
interstate.
freeway.
Yeah.
That's really where they started, was more the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
They're Texas-based, but they really focused on West Coast and really didn't know if consolidation or the large consolidators would ever be interested in Springfield.
Right.
We are a pretty small market. We were a single location. Typically, they go after multiple location owners or even other small consolidators that they purchase. And to get, to sell a single location is getting to be a little more common, but it was not at that time.
Gotcha.
And they've purchased a couple of others in Springfield as well, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, they purchased Elite Auto Body,
Okay.
which had 2 locations.
Okay.
So now they have 3 in Springfield. And that's created, just in Springfield, created opportunity for some of our folks, some of our younger folks that, really were ready to step up into a higher position that maybe we didn't have available, have been able to go to one of the other locations and do that. Our 2 main managers, Cole Bloomfield and Brady Smith, are both working in management within the company. Cole relocated to Cape Coral, Florida, and is running one of their shops down there.
That's great.
Yeah. Cool. So you guys are spending a lot of time in Florida these days?
We are, yeah. We've actually had a place in Florida for, almost 20 years. Early on, it was one that we would rent out, because we were only able to get there when the kids were out of school. Or then the last several years, even before we sold the business, Julie, she kind of retired and paved the way for me well before me. And so she was actually spending the bulk of the winter down there, and I would go back and forth.
Sure.
But in the past, this will be our third full season there that we'll be there. True snowbirds, I guess.
Yeah. Are there a lot of Springfield people in the Marco area?
More in Naples.
Yeah,
They're
sure.
all over Naples, but only a few in Marco, really. So
Nice.
Yeah.
How's the transition? I'm always curious. Somebody who started and built a business and led it for 34 years, and then hand the keys over to somebody else and walk away. What's that been like for you?
It's a mixed bag. I mean, it was kind of weird. Literally the last day, the day of closing, we did all the closing remotely, and all of a sudden here come sign trucks coming in. They pulled all the signage down and had their banners up before I left on the 13th.
Yeah.
So it was changed right away.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I thought, that I got the opportunity to stay on. Really would have been just kind of a face of the business, and I knew that wasn't needed. We had folks that could easily handle that. So anyway, when I left, I thought, well, there will probably be a number of questions, in the coming days. And
Sure.
I mean, they literally came in that night, took out the whole computer system, whole phone system, changed all of that to their system, and had multiple trainers on site, from that day forward. So really, there weren't questions for me,
Right.
because it was now their way.
Sure.
So that was it was a little sobering, quite honestly, to all of a sudden literally not be needed. I mean, you strive for that.
Sure.
As you hand over leadership and responsibilities, but when the reality hits, it's a little
A little different than you expected.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then on the flip side, it was like really freeing.
Yeah, right.
To wake up and know, not really have anybody relying on you.
Right.
Not
Not worried about payroll would be kind of nice.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. So basically, I tried to stay with my normal routine. It just backed up a couple hours.
Yeah.
No need to
Sleep
get
in a
up
little
at
bit more.
4:15 or 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah. What does a typical day look like for you? I know you do some volunteer work too for building churches and things. Is that right?
Actually, it's a mission down in Juarez, Mexico area.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of community centers where the kids down there, I'll just kind of tell a little bit about that. It's called Amigos in Cristo Ministries. Was actually founded by somebody locally here in Springfield, and who went to Cherry Hills Church. So Cherry Hills has always been a major part of the ministry. So Julie and I went with our youngest daughter Claire back in 2014 on a mission trip, and fell in love with the folks there. And but the mission is that there's 2 community centers where about 50 kids come to each of them each day, because school there only goes till noon.
Okay.
And then, the kids are running free.
Sure.
Parents are typically working in factories. So the kids tend to get, pulled away by the cartel or doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So this gives them a safe place to go. They get a meal. They get tutoring for all their different classes. They get to do arts that they would not get in school.
Sure.
And they also get, we try to teach them the gospel as well.
Sure.
And then we also have a fine arts center that's our newest facility, where they are taught the different arts, actual art, music, instrumental and vocal, photography.
Wow.
They also are taught missions. So they are taught here we go down and serve, try to serve them, but they're also looking to serve others as well.
Is it safe? Is it?
It is, yeah. We and whenever we take teams down, there's always concern, just with the reputation that Juarez has.
Sure.
We're in a couple of communities or colonies, kind of on the west side of Juarez, so they're kind of small communities. There's still trouble around, but we have never encountered any trouble ourselves. And we've been told that, of course, you always have God's protection, but even like near one of our community centers in that neighborhood, it's known that there are some cartel members living there that actually send their kids to our community center.
Is that right?
Oh, really? Okay.
So they know they don't want their kids really following in their footsteps. And we've been told that I don't know if they have fear of Christians, but they don't bother
you guys.
us.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
they probably, no, it's protected turf in some ways.
Yeah,
maybe for you.
yeah. It's kind of a quiet. Again, nobody's ever come out and said.
Yeah.
Nobody from the cartel has said, "Hey, we're not going to mess with you
we're
guys."
not. Yeah, we're going to leave you guys alone.
But
that's great.
proof has been that
Yeah.
they really haven't.
Yeah. How often are you down there?
It varies. Like I've been there 3 times in the past 3 months.
Gotcha.
So it depends on kind of what's going on. Because Julie's the board president and I'm the vice president. So we're making trips to sometimes deal with administrative type things. We have an executive director who's been with us about 2.5 years, and just trying to help support her and try to create the culture, that we developed over time in our business.
Yeah, was Jeff Nelson, was he involved in that at all?
I don't know how many times he's been down there, but definitely he was the lead pastor at Cherry Hills when all of it came to be.
Yeah.
Which has been 15 years now.
Yeah, I was just saying, I know, I don't know if they still do, but for years, Cherry Hills would have teams come down to work there, correct?
Yeah, and still do.
Yeah.
There's at least a team every year that comes. And then with so many people from Cherry Hills having been down on different team trips, there's still a number of them come, even if it's not a specific Cherry Hills trip.
Yeah.
Because Julie and I, we go to Hope Church, so everybody's always thought that we go to Cherry Hills because we're involved with Amigos and Cristo, but now we've gotten a lot of involvement developed from Hope as well. So it's been fun getting teams down.
That's great.
So there's a lot of Springfield connections that make it down there. It sounds
There
like.
are,
Yeah, cool.
yeah, and through Cherry Hills, there's been a number of youth groups that have come down. So
nice.
those folks, those kids many times invite their friends.
Sure.
So
that's great.
yeah.
And how's life in Marco when you're there? What's a typical day look like in retirement land, in retirement world?
Well, still try to stick with exercise,
Yeah,
So
you look great. Look great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so there's some form of exercise every morning. We've got a number of folks. When we bought in the building we're currently in, I don't know what the average age was, but it was up there. And over the 8 or 9 years that we've been there, it's really come down. And now there's, similar to us, there's a number of people in our age range that have sold businesses and, are kind of doing the same thing we are. So we have a really strong core group of friends right in our building that we do a lot of things with. Even have done a couple trips during the summer. Two of the couples live out in the New York City area, so we all met up out. There was 5 couples all met up out there and
that's fun.
Spent a long weekend. And one is on he's a trustee at Purdue. So we went to the Purdue, Illinois game.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah.
Julie and I had to swallow our Illini
Right.
orange and blue and actually had to buy Boilermaker shirts because here we're going down on the field, right? I don't think the Illini gear is going to work well over here on this Purdue sideline.
That is good.
So it's been, so we've got a great group of people.
Yeah.
We play pickleball a few times a week. We've got 2 courts. Well, now we got 4 right there at our condo complex, and then
That's really become popular, hasn't it? It's unbelievable.
And
It's
probably even
crazy.
more so down there, given weather year round.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. It's in fact the racket club there on Marco Island was all tennis up until a couple years ago. They put in I think 8 pickleball courts. Now, from what I understand, they're getting rid of all the tennis courts and
that
turning
right?
them all into pickleball courts. 'cause
No
it's just
kidding.
So, and then there's a YMCA there that's got a number of courts. But it's nice that we're able to play right there at our place and not have to venture out. I always say I do a lot of things a little bit, but not a couple things a lot, you know. So we were talking earlier about fishing. So I do some fishing. Enjoy whenever folks come in, either to visit or from around Springfield that I can get together with and go out fishing and do things and play a little bit of golf.
Nice.
Do some bike riding.
Do the days go by pretty quickly or fast? Or,
They really do.
I mean,
Yeah. I never know what day it is, but, but they do go by
I
fast.
remember my dad
I've
when he
heard others
retired,
say that,
He
yeah.
said, "I know it's Sunday because the thick paper day." I was like, "Love it," and he meant it. He meant it. You know,
Oh, that's good.
I know. My parents were. I mean, they're busy all the time. It blows me away. You know,
Yeah.
and when they retired, it was like she goes, "I don't know how we ever worked." You know.
Yeah, and no, that is absolutely true. We, again, find things that don't really have to find them. They just
Right.
They
They
just
find you.
happen.
That's
they
cool.
find us, and we've gotten involved with a church down there too.
Uh-huh.
So we have a good home church and a good church family down there, and
Uh-huh.
joined a connect group. So we meet once a week during the week.
Uh-huh.
So actually, church is how I know it's Sunday, and
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
then our connect group meetings are on Wednesday. So
At least you know
that's
Sunday
how
and
I
Wednesday.
try to go
I love it.
based on that.
Ever
Yeah.
get the itch to say, "Oh, I got to get back in the business world and do something"? Or
You know, not to the point where, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to do something because I get so much joy out of seeing others succeed. And that's probably what I miss the most of, being able to kind of mentor some of the young up and comers that we had in our business. That's what I got the most enjoyment out of. And so I definitely miss that. I've had a couple of opportunities to do a little bit of mentoring, not really consulting, but those kind of relationships, you might get together once and maybe never again.
Yeah.
But consulting wise, I thought I might want to pursue that, but everything I think of pursuing, it's like, that seems like a commitment. That
seems like a lot of work.
I'm not sure I am up for. So.
I love
Good
it.
for you.
Yeah.
I know when you were here and had your business, you guys were involved in so many great causes locally. Doing those kinds of things down there at all? I know you were really engaged with and a big part of Big Brothers Big Sisters, for example, when you were here in the Springfield area.
Yeah, when we sold the business, of course, we always did all of our, what I'll say, philanthropy, through the business. We kind of did it ourselves, getting involved with organizations and, seeing what they're all about. And so when we sold the business, we immediately formed a donor advised fund with the community foundation because we wanted to continue to support those organizations that we had been. So we continue to do that. I'm still involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters through their Mentor 2.0 program.
Gotcha. Cool.
It's one that's able to be done remotely.
Okay.
So you're paired with a student. Currently, they're at Southeast High School. I think the goal is eventually to get into the other high schools, but really you're with them paired from freshman through senior year.
Okay.
With the goal of kind of helping them to prepare for college or, the
Trades or whatever.
the real world, whatever that may be for them.
Sure.
So I've been paired with a young man. This is our third year. He's a junior.
Cool.
So while I'm gone, they have once a month match events. So whenever I am in town, I try to get over and have lunch with him and have a little one-on-one time.
Yeah, nice.
Otherwise, it's all done through a portal.
Yeah. What's his future look like? Does he know?
He wants to be a chef.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So, like a lot of young folks, they're a little confused, but the promising thing is he got a job at Sonic. Not that that's
Right.
great culinary, but it's good restaurant experience,
yeah.
and that's what I keep telling him is those things.
Yep.
Whatever your job is there, whoever's doing the food prep and cooking,
Yeah.
watch and learn.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Who knows?
Well, Lincoln Land Community College has a really great culinary program for
Right.
Young students coming out of high school, or if they want to get into that field, and scholarship opportunities. Because I'm on the foundation board, and the first year I volunteered for the scholarship committee, I didn't realize I had to read 150 applications. I was like, wow! But they've got some really good opportunities there for students.
And
like
I keep
him.
telling him that because they're in that mode right now where they're learning how to research schools. And, kids at this point, the first thing is they want to go to some glamorous school. And so I think over time, maybe reality will set in and I just keep sharing my experience. And that's, starting wherever you can get your foot in the door and just keep growing.
Yeah, they are doing some amazing things
They
out of
really
Lincoln
are.
Land, some of the programs they have.
Yeah.
And I know that's one of the top ones for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff. What, how about family, rest of the family?
Well, we've got 3 daughters, and the oldest will soon be 32, Hannah. So her and our middle daughter, Emily, they're only 16 months apart, so they're almost twins.
Yeah.
They both live in Kansas City. So Hannah had lived there for a bit right out of college. She went to Mizzou, and her first job was in Overland Park, Kansas. So she lived there for a couple of years, ventured off to Austin, Texas for a couple of years, moved back to Kansas City. And so Emily flew out to help her with the move. And Hannah did a pretty good job of convincing
Never came
Emily
home,
that
huh?
she needed to move there as well. So she moved there. Both are married, and Hannah's married to a Kansas City born and raised young man, and Emily actually married a Petersburg kid who had also lived in Kansas City for a bit after college. So it wasn't hard to talk him into moving there. And Emily and Andrew, our middle daughter and her husband, they had our first grandchild back in July.
Awesome.
So we had,
Congrats.
Congratulations. That's
thank
awesome.
you. 5.5-month-old little Rosie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give you more reasons to travel to Kansas City, right?
Oh yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
So that stretch of 72 and 36 has got some wear pattern in it from our tires. And then we've got our youngest, Claire, who still lives at home with us, and she works in daycare, one of the daycares out in Rochester.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So everybody's doing well. That's great.
They are.
I love it.
Yeah, and you guys know as parents, all you can do is you just hope that your kids can grow up healthy and have good relationships and just make their way. And they've all done that.
Agreed. Well, I know you were really good to me when I first started doing business over here, helping to introduce Peerless and introduce me to, like, you got me into the CEO group with, Mike O'Shea, and I think we had Woody as our Woody Hester
Woody Hester.
Oh, yeah.
as our facilitator, And those relationships in that group have really grown over the years. So I really appreciate everything you did for me as well. Because coming over here to Springfield and trying to get to know folks from Decatur, it's a little bit of work. Because it's a local. This town is all about local first, and it just seems like there were a lot of folks that I didn't know that you helped me with. So thank you.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
you're welcome. That was easy.
Yeah.
There was a selfish side of that too, because I could see what you had to offer all of us, and so it was a two-way street.
Yeah.
So every time we sit down with somebody, we always, most of the time, we ask folks at a certain point in our lives, we've racked up a lot of experience doing a lot of things. Yours building a business from nothing to a very substantial business that you recently sold. If you could look back, knowing what you know today, and tell your 30-year-old self 2 or 3 lessons, what would those lessons about life be that could be passed along to others?
Probably the biggest lesson I learned along the way is that I'm not responsible for anybody else's happiness. And that plagued me for years that I didn't even realize that, I thought if we hired somebody, typically it was me hiring them, and it wasn't even, I don't think it was such a prideful thing that I didn't want to fail in my hiring, as that I needed to be responsible for their success and happiness. So at some point, I was realizing that I spend most of my day trying to make people happy, whether it's with their relationship with another coworker or with a customer, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And once I reached that realization that that's not my responsibility, and
That's a huge burden lifted.
it really,
not
it
kidding.
really was.
Yeah.
And then to realize what a disservice that was to the other person as well.
Sure.
Because most often when that's happening, they're in the wrong job.
Right.
And the longer that goes on, the more frustrated everybody is. So, not that I became a hatchet man after that, but I did identify much earlier when things were not going well, and still tried to take measures to give them a chance.
Sure.
But yeah, I think once I realized that, that was probably the biggest learning experience that I
Yeah,
had.
that's a great lesson.
Yeah.
There's nothing like getting the right people on the right bus and then getting them in the right seat on the bus, is there?
Yeah, and that's
And,
exactly funny you say that, because that's literally exactly when that finally hit home with me. I had gone to a leadership self-discovery, pretty intense training that kind of brought that to light. And around that same time, I read Good to Great, which is exactly that.
Yeah.
So I came back, and that's when I reached the realization that I was trying to really run from the responsibilities of being a leader, and knew that I had a lot of work ahead of me to clean up some of the mess that I had allowed to pile up
Oh, yeah.
to that point.
Yeah.
And I really had thought about, at that point, leaving it behind and starting over and doing it right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I think I better make right what I already got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at that point, that's exactly what I did. Was we had fortunately only a couple of people on our bus that needed to be let off, and then we had a few that I could see that needed to be in different seats. And once those adjustments were made, and then keeping that in mind moving forward as we filled seats, making sure that we were bringing the right people on the bus,
Yeah.
things were so much better.
And the reality is, I would suspect that some of those people who somewhere along the road were let off the bus probably could look back now and say, hey, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because it helped me find the right place that was the right fit for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And one of them happened to be my brother-in-law. And so that was difficult, because his wife is Julie's sister, who also worked there at the shop.
Sure.
So you know, and she was one that at that point needed to move to a different seat on the bus. So talk about a
Yes.
a difficult time, and this was all happening in, you know, early November, and we all get together for Thanksgiving, and that was all coming up. But anyway, my brother-in-law's comment was, you know, I'm 50 years old. What am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. What have you always wanted to do?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I've always wanted to have my own lawn care company. I said, now sounds like a perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
And we had a guy who was just a close family friend who was in his 70s that had retired from corporate America, started a lawn care company, built it up, sold it, got bored, and came to work for us, just sweeping floors and doing whatever. And so he mentored him through the winter, kind of helped him develop his business plan. He launched his business in the spring. Of course, we were one of his first customers.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he ran it for another 10 or more years,
really?
and the best years of his life.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's terrific.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it is a great story
yeah.
and evidence of what we were just talking about.
Yeah. So I hope people, and I tell people that all the time, that, you know, sometimes you have to free someone up to achieve their dreams, because they can find comfort where they're at in your place, and that not be the best thing for everyone.
Comfort's not always the best thing for us, is it? We talk a lot about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Is the best place to live in a lot of ways, personally and professionally.
Yeah. And truly, that's, believe it or not, one of my struggles now is, you know, am I content, or am I just comfortable?
Right.
Because I fear getting too comfortable.
Sure. Well, it sounds like things are going great, and so keep up the great work, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week when we come down to visit. We're going to a wedding down there, and I've not been to Marco Island, so I'm looking forward to spending a couple days by the beach.
Well, it's a beautiful beach, and I hope the weather cooperates. I understand it's supposed to be a little chilly here in the days ahead.
Yeah, that'd be about right for me. You know, I've been
right.
to Florida.
Bring the bad weather with you.
And rain.
Maybe you should take a water truck with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Brad, thanks for joining us. I know that there are a lot of folks who miss you in the community and don't get to see you like they used to. And we'll certainly be excited to sit and listen and hear all the updates of the good things going on in your life. So,
well, thank you. Thanks for having me. And anybody that ever wants to reach out, please do. I always love hearing from folks.
Yeah, well, good to have you.
Sounds good.
Thanks so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
You
it.
bet.